Hello, welcome to Mall Talkers. I'm Michael Paskett, aka the Mall Guy, and this is the show where retail and mall pros come to talk shop. In 30 minutes or less, I'm bringing you conversations from the strategists, the operators, and innovators driving the evolution of malls today. You'll leave with tactics, stories, and trends shaping what malls were, where malls have been, and what they're becoming. So pull up a chair, grab a coffee, and let's chat some malls. Today, I bring to you a true mall legend. The guest, Michael Clampett, asset management executive at Attacq, and today's topic is the hidden science of running a successful mall. Michael, first of all, great name. Second, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. It's good to be here. It's good to join you on this call.
We've talked a lot in the past. You're very smart. You're very funny, very witty, a wicked accent, an even better name. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you've been? What do you do?
So my background is one in finance. I'm a chartered accountant, sort of in the European zone, in the North American zone, a CPA. But I think I got out as soon as I qualified. I always knew that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then tried my hand at entrepreneurship for about 5-6 years. Started a couple of businesses, some of them successful, some of them weren't. Some of them were actually in retail. And through that, very naturally found my way back to corporate and ended up in a REIT, a real estate investment trust over here in South Africa.
Brilliant. And how long have you been doing that for?
It's about 13 years now. I mean, I think once again, the initial intention was never for it to be 13 years.
Yep.
But I mean, I've had a fantastic time. I really enjoy what I do. We work with fantastic assets, which I guess we're going to discuss a bit later on the show. And so really that gives me a reason to get up every morning.
Yep. I would say I do hear this a lot. People dip their toes in the mall space, whatever it might be. Blink 10, 15, 20 years later, still doing it, still loving it, found a passion within the industry.
Yeah.
It comes up a lot. So cracking on, starting with all the good old questions, what does the average shopper completely misunderstand about how malls actually operate in your mind?
Yeah, I think to be frank, I think it's actually quite boring. I think at the base of it all, these environments need to be clean and safe. So for us, there's a big focus on just the really standard soft services. What are our protocols in the morning before the mall opens up? Do we start, over here in South Africa, cooling is quite important. Do we start cooling the malls at the right time to be at the right temperature when the doors open? Is the venue clean before the mall opens? So I think there's a lot of sort of work that gets front loaded. It happens before the day starts. It's really boring stuff, but super important. I think clients come for, great tenant mix, good experience. But if the basics are not in place, you might miss the mall at all, and you might not even go there because of a dirty bathroom. So I think that's kind of maybe the unseen stuff, and the more unseen it is, the better it is for everyone, the owner and the customer.
Yeah. Well, the hygiene, the cleanliness, like I can confidently say any of my kids, we go into a restroom, it's not dirty. Like there's that sticks with us. Like my daughter won't be going to the restroom in there. She'll hold it. It'll be a whole issue within there. And it sticks in my mind because I want, or me as a shopper, I'm keen to expect this level of cleanliness. And it's not a glamorous job, but it's one of the most important jobs to help people trust an environment, to help people like have a level of respect that the property is assumed to have respect back by doing these tasks.
I agree. I mean, to a certain degree, it's table stakes. So if you don't have that in place, you're not even playing. And so it's quite important to me.
It is. I would absolutely agree. Is mall success more of an art, a science, or psychological?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. So I think throughout my career, maybe I would have given you a different answer 10 years ago. I think it's a combination of art and science. Inherently, you've got to understand and expect what a customer wants, sometimes even before they want it. But once again, I'm a big believer in data, the use of data within real estate. I've done 1 or 2 of these in the past. Yeah, I think if you go look it up, you'll see my story is fairly consistent. I think real estate businesses were laggards when it comes to the use of data in making decisions, or even just tracking, daily operational metrics. And we've dabbled a lot in the use of information to make better decisions. And of course, those better decisions should lead to a better experience for the customer or shopper. So one example maybe I can touch on is we've been using financial information over here in South Africa for the last 3 years. So we teamed up with 2 local big banks. They cover probably about 50% of the credit and debit card spend in the country. And so we look at actual spending behavior when we make strategic tenant decisions. So we're not throwing darts at a dartboard. We can have a look at who shops at Mall of Africa, and then where do those cards swipe outside of the mall environment. And that gives us, a really good sort of hit list to try and target tenants of existing customers that don't shop at the mall because that shop isn't there.
That's fascinating. That's really cool.
Yeah. I think we kind of pioneered some of the stuff with the local banks. Today, I'm aware of probably 6 or 7 landlords in South Africa that use that. I mean, the banks now provide this as a service to their clients, which is fantastic. Absolutely. I think it benefits all of us. So it's not something that you want to hang on to as a competitive advantage. But we've seen a lot of fantastic examples. Maybe 1 or 2 other wins that came from this is we were having a look. 2 of our assets are in greater towns in South Africa, so not in the big commercial hubs or the big cities in South Africa. But we started seeing through this credit card spend a lot of online sales for specific brands going to these 2 big towns. When we engage the retailer on that, saying we have this bank information that says you're selling X amount of rands into the town based on delivery, wouldn't you want to open a physical bricks and mortar store? I mean, they thought it wasn't even in their reach to talk to us. They thought the big dominant mall didn't have space for them. But because we saw how much of the online trade they were doing, for them it made complete sense to open a physical store in that jurisdiction. So there are a lot of nice little case studies we have from using this data. So once again, I think the art is in understanding what the customer wants, that experience, that mix between food and bev, a pause area versus using hardcore data to make leasing decisions, making sure you place the right tenant in the right mall.
Yep, without question. And what would you have said 10 years ago? Because I know, like, the art of COVID, there's been volatility. Like, the space is completely changing for the better, I think. What was it 10 years ago? Was it more of an art? Was it more of a gut feel? Because we obviously didn't have data as well.
I definitely think so. I think part of what we did with the data stuff came from, let's probably say, a frustration. So with the lack of information in the industry, some decisions might have been made based on hierarchies. So, the most experienced person in the room eventually would call the shot in a leasing meeting or, a mall management meeting. And I think those are good decisions because people with experience know what they're doing. But I think augmenting that now with real spend data has just made that process a lot more secure and spot on. So I think it used to be a lot more of an art, but certainly today a mix of science and art.
Yep, I completely agree. Especially because the vibes, the art, like there is a lot of validity to just knowing and expecting what you should do, but pairing that with the data, with the science, that's powerful because that gut feel could or could not match it. And then it's at least a tangible conversation on why is this data not matching what I want to do? Is it this specific tenant is not the right tenant, or is it this category based on the spend? And it just leads to better business decisions, better relationships, better win-wins.
Yeah, and what we found, Michael, so let's say a leasing decision or discussion might have been very almost like a monologue because you would talk about introducing a certain type of fashion brand, and then your options are between fashion retailers. What this has allowed us to do is to say, well, for a specific type of customer, so let's profile a customer, we want to see you swipe your card 10 times a month. The average of the spend over a month should be X. Now we've actually got a sample of shoppers at a mall that are represented, and now we could say, well, do they want fashion? Maybe they want a deli. Or maybe if we have a pet shop, they will have a propensity to spend more with us. So it's also changed the discussions we've had around leasing. So not so much focusing on the tenant name, but, is the right categories represented versus the sort of spending population we have in a specific mall.
Absolutely. So is there an actual formula behind the tenant mix strategy, or like is that evolving based on the data?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely evolving, and I mean, focusing on this example, the model itself isn't static. So we might, in a specific case, focus on we want to introduce more food and bev, and then the queries we write has got a certain narrative to it. In other cases, we might go in with less of an idea of what we want, and just kind of say, for the, let's say, 10,000 most loyal customers in Mall of Africa, where do they spend that we don't know about within the mall, so outside the mall, and then it's just a blind spot that gets revealed. So we really use data in different ways depending on the scenario. So I think it's always evolving.
Yep. Yeah. The playbook of the old, the 1, 2, 3. If you're following that nowadays, you're probably behind or losing. Yeah. It's very fluid, very active, especially, and there's a question of this, in the days of pop-up events, of trends like the Pop Mart, the K-pop. Like, what are your views on these quick trends, whether they're quick or not? Squid Games, like, would you bring them in? Obviously not a 10-year lease, but maybe a shorter, maybe a pop-up, or is it something that you guys aren't considering?
No, absolutely. We launched something at Mall of Africa. It's probably 3 years ago. It's called Souk. Like the old souks, the trading posts. So you can literally let that space from us for one day only. It's cool. A fully digitized space within the mall. It's got all the screens, all the rails are, and the shelves are all modular. So you basically come plug in your CI, and within a few seconds, your brand is in the shop. So we've used that to introduce a lot of hype brands, online-only brands. Once again, in South Africa, most of our assets are based here in Joburg. We've had some really cool Cape Town brands that sort of started in Cape Town, and they would come here for a week only just to test it. I mean, you're not going to lose your shirt renting a space for a week only. It's not a big contract to sign up to. And then if they trade successfully, we can offer them a 2, 3, 5-year lease. And if they don't, we've at least tested the market and seen that it doesn't work. So I mean, that was something we brought in because we wanted to tap into the hype market. Signing a 5-year lease is not going to get you through the hype. I mean, there's going to be a couple of peaks and troughs in that. So that's something that we've done very specifically. I think maybe a segue, something else that we really believe in and executed on is this idea around pre-existing communities. So maybe that's a bit longer than hype, than, let's say, K-pop now, or maybe, just took off. And I mean, it didn't matter which brand we placed in that souk for a week or a month, they just did well. But what we find here is you've got pre-existing sporting communities, you might have some religious communities, but these are communities you can tap into. So if we host a very specific retail store, or we host an event over a weekend with a specific theme, we get customers that wouldn't necessarily come to a mall, but they come because they're part of that community and they feel comfortable and they want to experience whatever we've put out. So we've also utilized that not to generate kind of our own activities or our own events, but just giving existing events and communities a place to be. And we found that very successful in terms of attracting new customers.
I have an example of that. When I like Pokemon. I still play Pokemon Go. 4 years, this was actually longer, probably 9 years ago. I was playing with my friends. I was back in California. The local mall during a community event for Pokemon, which that is, they basically special Pokemon, go out and catch them. Cool. You got to walk around. The mall hosted it. Free food, free, or like snacks, basically free water. And my local community of 20 decided to go. But they tapped into all the community. So there was at least 500 people walking around the mall as a circular one. And that's powerful. And I can guarantee you people went to other stores, people took breaks and checked out everything. And all they had to do was supply their water stations, I think lemonade and like some kind of snacky kind of stuff.
So let me just give you a bit of scale to your
oh gosh, yeah,
your Pokemon event. And this isn't one-upmanship. It's just I'll just tell you a story. So
bring it on.
At Mall of Africa on a Black Friday, we would do anything between 95 and 105,000 visitors on the specific day. So that kind of gives you the benchmark of what a Black Friday looks like. In the last 3 years, we've hosted over a weekend something that is referred to as the halal goods market. So that's all things halal. It's a very specific community, but it's quite a big event. So we've got a park next to the mall, and we hosted in the park. So last year on the Friday for the halal goods market, we had 91,000 people visit the mall. So an event like that was as big as the Black Friday event. And so that gives you an idea of the scale. If you do this proper, and I mean, we're not dipping our toe in here, we're doing it properly. I mean, that's the kind of excitement you can generate. Now, on an average day at the mall, you'd probably expect 55,000 people. So that's almost double the amount of people if we have the right communities come on specific weekends, times of the month, whatever we curate.
Well, and then you're creating almost like a tradition for the community, because if you have that every year, and it's a family thing, you are going every family.
That's like when we do our planning, there's a couple of weekends already that they blocked out because of some of these successes, and we can't take those events away now.
Yep, which is powerful, especially now you have something in the books. Families are looking forward to it. They know what to expect. They're taking a half day, full day. Like, this is a family, couple, whoever's going, event to visit the event, go to the mall, and have a great time. Like, have true memories.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, there's a spillover for the rent-paying tenants, right? So it's their job to convert the fleet, but if we can prove somehow that we've attracted 80% more visitors than there would have been on a normal Friday, they should be happy clients of ours.
Without question. So pivoting a little bit within the same vein, why is food such a critical component of a mall strategy, like F&B, we'll just call it?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I think just with the ease of access in terms of products, so I think across the globe, you can access most consumer products, on your phone. It can get delivered, in the next 60 minutes, depending on your jurisdiction. And I think what food and bev does is it creates this opportunity to pause, but also it enhances the experience. So something that I am really supportive of, and in our teams we're working really hard on, it's an old term. It was coined in the 1970s, but placemaking. And really our malls, we are making sure that we are turning them into places that people actually want to visit. Food and bev is a big part of that strategy. So when you come, you want to experience something more than just getting a product, accessing whatever you're shopping for. So we actually, as a team, about 2 years ago, we went to Dubai just to go learn from some of those asset and property managers, spend some time with the management teams. And I remember we were at the Dubai Hills Mall, and we were walking around with the asset manager for that property. And he said to us, we were asking him about, we see all these cafes everywhere. And he said, about 14% of their GLA is restaurants and cafes. And so we came back and we did a calc on our assets, and we were running at about 6%. So it was quite clear that even in our jurisdiction in South Africa, we were lagging way behind what was happening in Dubai in terms of creating a place for pause, creating a place where people can experience, maybe it's an interesting coffee, could be an interesting sandwich, but something out of the ordinary, which once again creates the reason to come to the mall, right? More so than waiting for a package to arrive whilst you're on your couch.
Yep, that's always soggy in the styrofoam. That's never warm. That's never just like a good experience. I will say as well, what I'm seeing more and more is the interesting, unique F&B options are the key to success here. Like the days of just the Sbarro, the Panda Express, and I'll just push like typical Western playbook 10, 15, 20 years ago is not going to cut it anymore, because if someone's going there, like they know what Panda Express, they know what Sbarro is, they know all these, and people will still go. But me as a shopper, I want something unique. I want ramen that I can't get anywhere else. I want Chinese food that I don't know about, bubble tea that I can't find anywhere else, to enhance what I'm already doing at the mall.
Yeah, spot on. And so that's where some of these smaller niche traders, whether it's a baked good or it's serving a burger in a certain way, they become super important because they give the consumer a reason to come and experience something that is not replicated 300, 500 times, throughout all the malls in the country.
Definitely. So within this and food and beverage, but just the mall experience in general, how would you define a successful mall visit? And how has it changed from the past, like from 10 years ago?
Yeah, that's interesting. It probably depends on the type of mall. So
Fair.
I think post-COVID, not only in South Africa, but probably across the world, there's been this proliferation of convenience centers, easy in, easy out, quick, get the essentials and move on. I think it's quite hard to see where that is going longer term, just given that convenience can now come from somewhere else, i.e. the mobile phone. I think bigger malls, regional, super regional, they've got a place in sort of our daily lives, and those owners need to make sure that they've got a compelling offering, and that can be tenant mix, but it might be activities, it might be events. They need to give people a reason to spend an hour, 2 hours in that mall, and I think that's what's changing. Is maybe the mall used to be a fulfillment center, a place where we got stuff. I think now it's becoming a place where we get experiences, and you've got to focus on that.
Definitely. The world of transactional malls in and out, in my view, it's changing. It is experience. It's a third place. The competition for a shopper's time and money is at the highest it's ever been. I can order whatever I want on my phone. I can look at whatever I want on YouTube or PlaySwitch, or like my time and money. There's so much competition for it. So like, what is going to push me to go to the store, to visit the center,
and sometimes it's about doing it together. I don't know if you've done this, Michael, but let's take it away from a mall environment. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you love museums and you were walking around Europe, or maybe you love mountains and the jungle somewhere in Asia. But sometimes you experience something and you capture it on a photo on your phone, but when you get back home and tell people about it, it's not the same, right? Because they weren't there. And I think from a mall perspective, sometimes we want to share certain experiences with others. They might not be as exotic as mountain season jungles, but purchasing something with someone else, sharing that moment, spending some time together at a restaurant, food and bev, sharing a special matcha coffee, like those are the type of things that we would invest our time in as consumers. I think that's where our focus should be.
Definitely, especially as things are becoming more digital, more AI driven. Like I find I prefer time time doing experiences with my friends, my family, my kids, all that kind of stuff, because it is true. Like I travel frequently, show my kids, show my wife the pictures that I think are really cool, but I'm the one with the memories behind that, and they're like, cool, that's a temple in Thailand. I'm like, but this is so cool. They're just like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. It's when we share those moments with others that become special, right? So maybe we should just share these mini moments in malls.
I would agree. I think that's a very good point. And with that, I would like to say thank you so very much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're very smart, very wise. Mustache is killer, as always. Do you have any parting words of advice, mustache tips for the audience?
No, thank you so much, Michael. It's been wonderful. I enjoy these catch-ups. This one may be a bit more formal on camera, but always when we chat offline, really insightful. And maybe the mustache theme becomes a trend. Let's see how far this podcast goes.
Let's hope so. It's here to stay. Cool. Well, thank you again. And as always, thank you to the Mall Talkers for listening. Ciao for now.